It's not like I've not done round tables before, but this table's really round.
I get very angry when Vic and I are in the same year, releasing stuff in the same year. He's going to beat me in everything. Right. With me, I was Hindi boy trying to impress a Bengali family, so I was watching all Satyajit films. Never got into that. Very far from that.
Yeah.
By the way, would you like to be a producer as well?
I'm not going to let them go from my life.
I'm going to replace the word muscle with heft.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.
There definitely is a new wave in Indian cinema. One that's quieter, one that's softer, one that's about people that you could easily ignore in the daily hustle bustle of our busy lives. And yet, they could make you stop and sometimes even weep. If Payal Kapadia is all we imagine as light is the shining star that won at Cannes last year, then Savar Bonda went on to win the Grand Jury Prize recently at the Sundance Film Festival. And today, of course, I'm sitting with the cast and the crew of Shadowbox that goes on to make a shining debut at the Berlin Film Festival. They even have a new category to award cinematic brilliance. It's called Perspectives. And I'm so excited to be joined by a lot of people. Hi and welcome to Just to Film Me, guys. This is fun. It's not like I've not done round tables before, but this table's really round. So congratulations on the film, of course, going to Berlin. I'm going to start with the directors. You are in a lucky position because here you have a lot of people who we love and appreciate, and they've come out to back your film. How does that make you feel?
Very blessed.
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic, that would be the word.
I grew up on their films.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
I must, tell you that I'm a huge fan of you because I love the work you put together in the past. Whether it's, Vikram's collaboration with you recently with Black Warrant or Ibaleu, which is one of my favorite films of all time. It's been so wonderful to see your work and you're making a debut. Was that unnerving for you?
It happened quite naturally. I continued through this. It took us 8 years to make the film, and so I've been working as a cinematographer mainly.
Yes.
And so the choice to direct and the choice to make this film, it kind of came out of our life. So it wasn't. I don't think at any point we stopped and thought that we were making a change or a break or a different track in our lives. It just kind of came out of our life.
Amazing. And what is the collaboration with Tanushree and you? What is the most special part of it, Tanushree? Why don't you tell us?
So, Somu and I have been collaborating since we met, I think.
Yeah.
We met over edits that he wanted to show me and then offer me wine afterwards. And
That's the secret.
and then it started there. And then we went on to collaborate with our friends to do Ibaleu, Esehi, and it sort of, again, it was like a natural process. We thought, okay, so the next step is writing, finding and trying to tell our stories. And I think it was quite organic.
Yeah.
And like we say that we manage a family, we have a child together. And if we can do that, we can do this too.
That's so lovely. Thank you. That's really beautiful.
Yes.
Your next collaborator is sitting on this side of me, and I've said this very often. Because I've said this very often that my favorite actor in this country is Tilotoma Show. Hi.
Hi.
How do you like this? Am I putting you on the spot?
Yeah.
What a beautiful performance. Talk to us first about wanting to collaborate with the two of them, and then we'll extend it to the rest of them coming in.
Actually, it's Naren. He's one of my early friends in Bombay, a city which I found very intimidating and very hectic. And he had lived here for longer and he had a set of friends. So I felt he was a huge part of being welcomed into the city. So he asked me one day that there's something he's working on, if I would just read the script and give feedback. And because it was Naren and the quality of our truth-telling in our friendship, I went at it. I really told him what I felt about the script because it also excited me a lot. And then he said that if I would convey this to the people who've written the film. I said, absolutely not, because I don't know them. And, I can't share feedback like this. You can convey it. He said, no, I really think you can convey it to them. So I had my first conversation with Somu about the script. I was very moved by what he had, they had written. And I had questions about a certain scene, why it was written this way and why, and and just the quality of the answers, the quality of the engagement was so I don't have an adjective for it. It was something that I had not felt before, and then Naren told me that actually someone, Tanushri, had thought of me as an actor, which they were so clever and wicked for not telling me before, because then I wouldn't have given that nature of feedback at all, just so that I have the job and don't lose it. So commenting unnecessarily on other people's scripts. And then we met, our families met, my partner met them. It was supposed to be a brief 2-hour meeting, and it went on to us staying overnight at their place, and got to know their child, and I just wanted to be lifelong friends with them, and if doing the film was the beginning of that, then so be it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I sense that I'm not going to let them go from my life, And Kunal's, my partner's instruction was also pretty much the same, that these are really good people, man, don't mess it up. I'm like, okay, it's very clear, we need to be together, and if we can work along the way, amazing. There'll be times when they will work with other actors, I'm going to be jealous and envious as hell, but I'll find a way.
And you'll work with other people, and they'll be perhaps,
And we'll celebrate
But,
that.
it's the people they are that really made the process really rich, and then they were very kind and very generous to allow me into spaces that actors usually aren't allowed to go.
Absolutely.
Which is the phase of writing and producing, producing, which was again really to Naren's actors, producers gatekeep and are the big boys, and actors and especially women aren't ever invited, unless you're a A-list star or something, and those are different mathematics there. But in the kind of films I do, even though it's very collaborative and independent films are, an actor is rarely allowed to be a producer. And that was really because of how comfortable and secure Naren is, and they were. So that added a sense of responsibility towards the film, which I haven't felt as you don't feel as an actor, because you don't even know what the problems are.
Yes.
So that, along with the creative process and the human beings that they are, and
that's how it happened.
Yeah, how it
Thank you
happened.
so much. Thank you so much. Two of you collaborated on one of our favorite films from 3 years ago, All That Breathes. Was that a natural sort of choice for you to step in as a producer as well, Shanak?
It was. Their wonderfulness is blindingly obvious. But I think what happened was that, and not to constantly repeat that ad nauseum, I'm sure it's tedious to hear, but the thing is that what worked for Aman and me outside of their loveliness was how strong the script was. And it's not often that one encounters this kind of an exploration of the gnarliness of love and relationships, and it feels like a grown-up grammar of relationships that we don't often see on screens, and that's what actually initially drew us. But you are indeed right. The first spark of the conversation was when we were shooting black kites in a cage. We were surrounded by black kites, and Somo, in his charismatically sheepish way, said that he was working on a screenplay, and that's sort of like how we initially began. And more than anything else, it was really the script that was the center of gravity for, I think, quite a few of us. So, and before this kind of wonderful band came together, it was a script that sort of was the main adhesive.
No, I love it because it's very rare to see so many of you in a room come together. Collaboration is often thrown around as a word, right, when it comes to filmmaking. But I remember an example with Manthan, where, the money for the film came from literally the people who the film was about. So let's take a minute, and I'd like to open this up to the producers in the room. When you say that you came in as a producer for this film, what did it truly mean? Was it कि इस फिल्म को बनने के लिए पैसों की जरूरत थी तो इसीलिए आपको मौका मिला, or was it something that you could bring in as a producer? It could be heft, it could be might, it could be making the story do better things.
I think it's a little bit of all of the above. It's not a my situation. So my involvement started pretty much like how Delhi says. Like I've shot with Somo on Blackwater, and he said I've made a film. He's like, to go see it. I see it in Naren's studio where the AC wasn't working that day, so I'm sweating and I'm watching this film, and I love it. And at the end of the day, it's like, by the way, would you like to be a producer as well? One of those things. And then he gives me like the list of who all are already involved, and he's taking names. There's Shaunak and there's Aman and there's already Sid, and so much respect. Jim, Anjali, Ishan, Dheer, so much respect for the people already involved in this film that it's a sort of no-brainer that you say yes, of course, in whatever way. And to your question, I think everybody brings something, whether it's heft, as you said, or whether it's just creative help in whatever way one can, whether it's in Sid's case, or helping out with the fact that he's supported so many indie films over the years with just the fact of the services he brings to the table.
Any movement is a reaction to what's currently happening. And I want to take this to Nikhil, who straddles both worlds so easily.
Sorry?
I said, I want to take this to Nikhil because you straddle all these worlds so easily, whether it's the big Bollywood commercial film, or whether it's a fabulous series that you just gave us, or, this film. So, do you think that there is a need right now for us to make films that we truly want to make? And is this film, a part of that reaction?
I don't know that ever went away. I mean, right? I mean, I started learning films under Saeed Mirza and Sudhir and people like that. I think that in independent cinema and indie cinema and has always found some form of existing, coexisting, whatever. Everybody is sitting over here. I get very angry when Vic and I are in the same year, releasing stuff in the same year. He's going to beat me in everything. right? So I get very, very upset that, so, or when I saw Shaunak's film, I remember sitting in the same space and I was blown, that first shot.
Yeah.
That just, and then it goes on and it becomes better and it becomes better and it becomes better and it becomes better. So I don't know whether it ever stopped, I just don't know. So whether it's both of them, whether it is what Tilly just said, that she went for a 2-hour meeting, stayed over, that's the reason why. I think that, or the script, the film is so silent, but it's actually shouting, it's actually making so much of a statement, right? So I just think that it's important for more and more people to be, for Naren to call up more and more people. And pick up the phone and say, listen, I heard a script, or Shaunak to call, or Ishan to call, or Somo and Tanushree to work on the next one. I mean, there are 17 people over here, they already know for a fact that 15 of us are going to wait for the next phone call.
Lovely.
So I don't think it's ever stopped. It's just got lost somewhere, or it got overtaken by some things, which I think that it's all of us over here have always been, in our private spaces or in our always wanted to try and say, why can't we do something? Why can't we do something? Why can't we come together? Why can't we, why is this not being made? Why is not, this is a great script. So yeah, I just feel that it never stopped, but more and more people, I'm going to replace the word muscle with heft. Need to use heft to bring it out. That's the,
Thank you.
Sorry, just to speak to your point about Manthan, and to jump in with what Nikhil had said as well, I think there's always been a space for coexisting. In different ways films can be made, and if you look through the history of Indian cinema, there have been many times where communities or the industry has come together to support films, and I think we have that with our group here as well, with the kind of films that Vic and Sid have also produced or supported with coming on board either as producers or with in-kind investments. And with this film, it's a chance to look at a model where we can really find a way where so many people can come on, and if it's a difficult process to make an independent film, to share that risk and to shoulder that responsibility together, which makes it much easier. And so then this is much like Manthan or Sing Sing, a model where we try and find a way where we have all of these people can come on board in a way where we share everything equitably. There's a pari passu, everything's shared completely fairly. There's in terms of a waterfall, to use a technical term, everyone's paid out in exactly the same way. And to Nikhil's point, some people bring heft, some people bring muscle in terms of the knowledge or the experience that they have in the industry. But other people also bring, creative input and also creative heft, or, their, like with Sid's in-kind investment, we're taking care of the post-production. We've had involvement through the beginning of the process on the basis of the script to after and through its completion and in its onward journey. Everyone who's joined has formed this overall system where they can bring in an input that is not only financial but also works to
Creatively
the
unique, yeah.
betterment of the film.
It's amazing. Do you all call yourselves something now? Honestly. Wait till the film makes money. You know what I also love about the film is that it's got so many themes. It's not just one theme, it's so many themes. It's an Instagram thing, guys. It showed up today and I was like, yes. What is that theme for you, Nikhil?
Well, for me, it's very personal because my mother-in-law passed away a year and a half ago, and I started a foundation in India, Shmitra Gupta, and she was the one who actually got me from a chemistry student to becoming a film. I was a Sindhi boy trying to impress a Bengali family, so I was watching all Satyajit Ray films. Never got into that. Very far from that.
Yeah.
But Bangla woman, strong Bangla woman.
Beautiful.
So for me, it was like, let me impress her even when she is not here.
Thanks for mentioning Satyajit Ray because the film does. I mean, it's very hard for me to sit around you guys. You made this film, you'd never take it well. But when I was viewing it, it gave me that sort of reaction that I had when I watched Pathe Panchali, which is just, it broke your heart. And this film continues to break your heart. What theme is important to you from this film, Tanushree?
I think not just the film, in life, I think it's love.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, love is everything. Love is that moves us. And saying everything done, and like now that I'm also a mother, I think it's such a strong power, that yes, all the wrong is there, but we are still going on, and this whole world is supported by finally that love.
Yeah.
And money actually can't buy that, really. And for me, the main thing is, I have, even as a woman, I have wondered where that love comes from. And it's so strong, it's so powerful, and it's indestructible.
And how much she loves Sundar, it's crazy. There are parts in the film where you would expect a slap, but there's a hug. And for every time she's done that, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
For you? So you wrote the film, so this is hard. So
I think for me, it's the celebrating the often invisible role of the caregiver,
yes,
and
absolutely.
and which is in this case the son and the wife.
The
and
wife,
mother.
yeah.
And to look at this knot of love within the family, where from the outside it could look different, but from inside, those bonds that make that ceramic that's constantly about to break but hold it together.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely. One of my favorite shots is in the beginning when your title appears, and it's just a shot of her reading a newspaper, and I think that to me is so empowering because here you are, this is an educated woman, and the educated woman has more to lose because it's almost like, how dare you, and that was, truly, it spoke to me a lot. Because you almost get angry with women who are educated. You almost get angry with them for being empowered. And then there's a scene where, and you'll watch the film, and you must watch the film, guys, where her neighbor comes and hurls abuses at her. And it's almost like she's punishing her just for being good, So there were points in the film, and, people who might know you know that there is the role of the caregiver that you've had to do in your own life. So when they spoke about it, of course, it was a thought that crossed my mind. But for you, which of these things was most dear?
Yes, they were aware and they're very supportive through COVID and they knew emotionally what was going on. And I think that's kind of also what indebts me to them, because I think we held each other emotionally. We kept each other accountable towards the film, but also it was not at the cost of our personal lives and our family. And I think these were discussions you have at the stage, this midlife stage, I suppose, where they have a child. They wanted a shooting style which allowed them to have a meal with their child. I'd hit menopause, perimenopause, which was triggered by my mom's cancer. And my body was fighting me in ways that I didn't understand. And I could share it with them. I could share it with them that while I used to work 15 hours a day, it's not the same thing now. So can we work shorter hours, and can we work really smart and hard? And it's just, it's an ask, but I understand it can't be fulfilled on all days, but it happened on every day. And so you see, there are these things that we talk about in films, but we don't do it in our filmmaking, and often it's almost painful to watch films that are talking about things, and the practice of it on ground when they were made was exactly anathema to it. And you want to be like, oh my God, should I go and tell the whole world that this is a farce? So when these two things come together so beautifully, you're riding you're surfing, you're really floating in a way. And for me, thematically, many things, but one thing that holds very strongly is I came from a feminist college, Lady Shriram, bra-burning feminism, professors who were incredibly volatile, one may say, sometimes. And I have tried to understand where I stand in my relationship with what I really want to do, as an actor, and what kind of women I want to portray. And I think in my early years, I had a different notion, and now I am very, very attracted to the resilience of people and why they stay back. Because for me, the cinematic, dramatic thing in my younger years was to be able to leave, to be able to get away from the structures that are claustrophobic, and that seemed like freedom. But when things happen in your own life, and that leaving is not even an option. When it happens with your own mother, and you are at the cusp of, my first film worked after 20 years, it was Sir. And because it came on, on Netflix, and for the first time I did something that actually my neighbors saw, after 20 years, as opposed to just my family. And at that time, I was a caregiver full time, and that's when it all started to make sense. Yeah. So I think I finally actually that opened a gate for me to step into doing parts that were age appropriate, that felt like I had lived a certain life, so I could understand this person, and I could understand the freedom of. For me, I don't articulate it as love, perhaps because I find it difficult to use these kind of words like love and hate. And but I think what worked and for me as a thing was her ability to stay on, what allows, and the freedom, the freedom that comes with it when you're able to hold someone you love, their bodies, and through difficult times. It's very freeing. It's very freeing mentally. You get. I'm less scared of the industry, my place in it, not getting work, being rejected. A lot has changed after Ma, and the way I approach work. So, and the film for me was born out of what they were going through with her mother and our aging parents who need us to hold them in certain ways. They were going through that, I was going through that, and it was like we needed to make this film to make sense of that as well,
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank
Sorry,
you so
long
much.
answer,
Not at
guys.
all.
This is
Not at all, but thank you for sharing, because it's important that we're not just making movies, we're also living them, right? So, Shanak, what was the theme for you?
I was just thinking, it feels like the flip side of what Tanushree was saying, but I think connected. For me, it was like actually an exploration of the icky, radioactive destructibility of love, in the sense that, the fact that it feels like the film also drills down on often the painful necessity to let go of things. And that actually feels like a niche emotionally that is often not explored, and it's only become like more sort of relevant for me. I've not been in a caregiving position, but in a caretaking, receiving care position recently. Yeah. So in that sense, the extreme importance of understanding when an intimate relation can feel almost carcinogenic, and the desire to then sort of let go.
How interesting. I'm so glad I asked this question for the benefit of everybody else in the room, So, because maybe you didn't look at it this way. And thank you so much for sharing. For you?
It's interesting to hear everyone's perspectives like this as well. Echoing a lot of what has been said, but perhaps like showing slightly different perspectives. For me, when I'd first come on and Soma and Tanushree had talked about their reasons for making the project, there was also a sense of shared history of family and of difficult choices one can make, and about how many of those conversations, especially in a slightly knotted situation, are relegated into the shadows, and you don't really talk about them. You just walk through them. There's a sense of resilience of moving through them, and I saw in this film a chance to look into those shadows of what makes people stay, and seeing in resilience hope. And I think often when we talk of love, or when we talk of like difficult situations, whether with mental health or with family, there's a sense of triumph that is celebrated, or there's a sense of struggle that is celebrated, but it's very rare that you get a chance to look at the quiet moments in between. And in those quiet moments in between, what is that motor, and what are those questions, and what are those answers of why people stay and why people push through. And I saw a lot of hope and in that idea and in that version of love, and that's, I think, what really drove me.
Thank you. While the rest of you are going to give us your answer, I want to take a quick break on the conversation and say that one of my favorite scenes is where they go, and you'll watch the film. So at that point, she goes in to get a job for her husband. And I just think the way that scene plays out is so fun, because you can almost see perhaps the words that were underlined in the script. I don't know if you do that as an actor at all, but I could hear them. Yeah, like, this word will be more inflected, because I saw that scene a couple of times and I just love the way it's written, it's shot, it's come together, and of course it's acted out. That was great. Quick question to you. Why is it called Shadowbox? While they think of their themes, their favorite themes?
So for the longest time, it was just the Bengali title, Bakshabundi. And
does it translate literally?
No.
What does the Bengali translation mean?
So the Bengali...
Well, the Bengali is complicated, because it means many things, basically.
Okay.
The image of box and Baksha Bondi is to be closed in, trapped, knotted. But it also means in many level, knotted on many level. It could be your desires, your dreams, or you as a person. So it translates to many, many levels. So for the longest time, we actually never had an English corresponding word which can mean all that.
Wow. Okay.
Yes,
and then how
but
did you settle on Shadowbox?
After, yes.
Actually, Shadowbox also refers to what a soldier brings back. Where he places his medals. And so, and one very important theme for us was residue.
Yes.
Residue of violence, residue of which is what they're kind of trying to untangle through the film. So so this idea of a trophy that has such a complicated significance was one, and also shadow boxing is in a way what our characters are doing.
They're fighting with themselves.
And it's an important image in the film when you see it also. And also just as a simple image, a shadow in a box, we felt there was a connection with the Bengali title.
Anjali?
For me, it's love and hope. But with that, I think there is a bluntness in the world that we are forced to live with. But within that bluntness, I think tenderness, that's the key word that I always felt watching the film, that there is this brute force of living in the world, but all these characters somehow managed to sustain and retain that tenderness with this brutal conditions around us. And that I feel we all kind of resonate, because we all are like doing that in a way. So that tenderness, I think, is the key word for me with the film.
Thank you for sharing. Ishan?
For me, when I first saw the film, it was really I was obviously blown away by Liu, but it was about the resilience, the sort of quiet heroism of her character and sort of everyday struggles that one might not notice, and she's just stuck through the situations, and also a lot of hope, like people cling on to hope for their whole life, and it's something that is very difficult to to feel, but it really connected with me, and it was just really inspiring.
How lovely. How lovely. It's so lovely to speak to each of you, and together even more, because coming into this, I thought, will I be able to do justice as a moderator to hear all of you speak? The beautiful thing about this conversation today has been that I heard each of you speak differently and yet together. It's much like a song, and that's what this film's process to me looks like from the outside. So thank you so much for bringing your heft and your muscle and all of these wonderful things, and for putting this film together. And before I go, let me congratulate you. I mean, it's not often that you're front runners in an entire new category at a 75-year-old film festival. That counts for something, guys. So congratulations on that, both of you. And I wish you luck. Thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.